bringing American capital and expertise and standards to Africa so that we can keep exploiting, so that we can exploring where we can get these minerals.
Take 7. Welcome guys back to another episode of Wake Us Up in the Hood, and I want to apologize in advance for any quality issues that you might experience in this video. I'm currently not home. I'm far away from home. I'm visiting family. I was asked by my mother to record, or rather capture, the matric farewell of my brother's daughter on video, make a video and something like that. So in this particular video, like, I've already been interrupted several times, had to restart, so I'm gonna be interrupted again because I have no control over the conditions where I'm working from currently. And as you can hear in the background, cars, loud noises of cars driving by and so forth. So unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that, but I want to get this video done so that we can get this over and done with, so that our people out there can get the message. And today's video is going to highlight many aspects of how we experience our reality in our everyday lives, whether it may be financial, spiritual, physical, emotional, in any which way you can think of. It's gonna shed some light on some of the stuff that made you question stuff about why do we experience life the way we do, why is society functioning the way that it does. And I think in some of these videos, I'm gonna play 3 videos. One is about 8 minutes, so this is going to be a very lengthy video. And also, normally I would be able to edit out the like I said, I will be having a lot of interruptions because I don't have control over the conditions where I'm currently at. And like I said, that the videos I'm going to play is going to shed some light on many of the stuff that we tend to question. Why is it that we experience society the way that we do, especially here in our country, South Africa, and in the continent of Africa at large. And yeah, without any further ado, let's take a look at the first one. The first one I want to play is, and I can't even edit the video on this laptop because the performance capacity of this laptop doesn't support the program for editing the videos. So I can only use apps on my phone, and I'm limited in what I can do on the phone. Like the video I did yesterday, it took me about 12 hours to do, where it would have taken me 3 hours maybe on the computer, but on the phone it took me 12 hours. So there's a lot of work that goes into this process. It's not as easy as it may look, but this is all the stuff that we do for your benefit, so that you can be educated, informed, and be able to have the knowledge. As Jesus said, you will be only set free if you have the knowledge. The knowledge will set you free. And we have just been bombarded with information and not knowledge, and I hope some of you can discern the difference there, especially in the Bible. There's a lot of knowledge in the Bible, but in my in my opinion, I would say the Bible is about 70 to 80% information. What do I mean by that? By that I mean to say it's a lot of stuff in there to confuse you, and it is done with a purpose. And in these videos, they don't specifically touch on that, but it will give you an idea how that is a possibility and why it has been done like that, because it's the purpose of it was to be able to have this particular control over us. So the first thing I want to start with is this particular video where the gentleman is saying that the GNU is something that was discussed already in a meeting, in a conference in Poland. So that thing took place in 2023 already. So that means that our elections were not free and fair as the IEC would like to make us think. And I was a party agent at one of the VDs, and I can attest to the fact that something was seriously wrong with our elections this year, because in the previous local government elections, I was an IEC official. I represented the IEC, and after the voting was done and we counted, we were counting together with party agents, and we could verify each ballot and confirm where each ballot's cross was made, where the X was made on the ballot. However, for some particular reason in these elections this year, and this time I was representing a party and not being a IEC official. This time I decided I'm going to join politics, and the party I joined was National Colored Congress, and I was there representing National Colored Congress as a party agent and at the voting district in my area. So what happened there was that, yeah, sorry about that. So what happened there was that our IEC officials, when they counted the votes, they held the ballots like this. They picked it up, they looked, then they say it's ANC, and then they pick it up, they say DA, and they put it in piles according to the different parties. But we as the party agents were unable to verify, is that a ANC, is that a DA, is that a MK, is that a ACDP, whatever party, is it the NCC, is it that ballot that they are picking up now? Because why did they have to hold it close to their chest when they looked at it, and when they put it down in piles, they had to put it face down. So when I asked the IEC official, okay, the voting is done, we already now know this pile is ANC, that pile is DA, this pile is Wadawara Fish Space, why is it that we are not allowed to see how the ballots are marked? Because if this is pile here is ANC, we already know those are ANC ballots. So why must it still be face down? What is the big secret? And the response I got was to say that no, it's part of the procedure, it's the policy, that's how it's supposed to be done. But to me, that it's just didn't sound right. But in any case, I didn't want to argue. It continued, and only after the counting was done, we started seeing videos about other districts, about the counting. Some votes were not even accounted for. So there was a lot of irregularities that still there is no answers for, and there was apparently court case ongoing. However, the government just continued ahead what is GNU and all that, and the public has not gotten, at least to my knowledge, to this point, I haven't seen anything as a response to where they explain what was going on there, so that we as the public can have confidence again in this electoral commission and the political system as a whole. But yeah, in this particular video, this gentleman is explaining who are all the stakeholders that were at this particular conference and what the mandate was that they got from that and what happened after that. So let's listen in and see what this gentleman is talking about. Yeah, so let's look at it.
The declaration of the Gdansk meeting in Poland. The declaration from a conference called Conference Against Totalitarianism and in Defense of Democracy, which was convened last year, June, in Poland. We've spoken about it in public, even when I addressed the big media forum with Comrade SOLLY and Comrade Mbalula at the Hani Memorial. The media were all there with their cameras. And I spoke when their cameras were still on. I even spoke about names of collaborators of this international agenda in the name of defense of democracy and against totalitarianism. The European Solidarity Center that convened this meeting.
I want you guys to note something in terms of what the title of this conference is. The title is, let me just rewind quickly.
I even spoke about names of collaborators of this international agenda in the name of defense of democracy and against totalitarianism.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so the conference is done in the name of the defense of democracy against totalitarianism, right? And the last video I will be playing, you will hear what they think about democracy, right? So let's continue this one. Yeah, so I want to ask that you also have patience with me as I'm having patience with my house. This is again not my place, so I can't dictate whether I should be interrupted or not, and the people should be allowed to move freely. Nevertheless, let's continue.
The European Solidarity Center that convened this meeting, working with the Brent Hest Foundation, led by Greg Mills, and senior journalists who attended this meeting. They may or they may not have known the agenda, but clearly they played the agenda, the role of that particular outcome of that particular meeting when they are back here in South Africa. Amongst them, for instance, prominent South Africans who participated, and those of you, including from this media institution, they have hosted no less than one or two of them, but multiple of them in the analysis pre-elections and post-election. For instance, the last minister, defense minister of apartheid regime, Rolf Meyer, was one of the attendees of this meeting in Gdansk. Yes, all of a sudden, Rolf Meyer was resurrected from somewhere to be a commentator, even on the concept of the GNU. Everywhere on television, SABC, ENC, everywhere. It's planned by those who are controlling the media houses. No problem. I have no problem at all against journalists. Because when a photographer or political reporter comes here, he's told by the editor what they want, or the political editor what they want from this meeting. They give them even questions what to ask. So Rolf Meyer was one of them. Dr. Ray Hartley, former editor, think of the Sunday Times and particularly of the Daily Dispatch, was one of them. He's a director at this Brentes Foundation. Dr. Mpumelelo Mkhabela, former editor of Sowetan, the Lovely People's Paper, was one of them. They were the main stars of the commentariat in the run-up to elections. Was this innocent? Then we have even there, president of the IFP, Shabisa, who was there in that meeting. There were others too. Yes. There were others too from here. The editor of the Daily Maverick was there. Now, these are realities, not science fiction. It's the reality of forces working against this revolution in the name of media freedom. Articulating one agenda, there must be change. The revolution has failed. There were several others. Comrade Lindy Zulu, as a fighter of our liberation movement, you will know this. There was the leader of UNITA in that meeting, from Angola. There was the leader of Renamo in that meeting, from Mozambique. There was the leader of the MDC here, Tendai Biti, who, after this year, around March, April, I can't remember the exact date because of the campaign was too heavy, he came and addressed a seminar organized by the Daily Maverick in Cape Town, a newspaper we have said in public as the South African Communist Party that has been funded by the State Department of the US through the US consulate in Cape Town.
Yeah, so as you heard what the gentleman said there, and I'm gonna put his name there on the video. Solomon or something, SOLLY or Solomon something. Sorry, I just forgot his name now, but I will put it on the screen. And I think many of you are already familiar with him. Many of you might have seen this video already. So in that video, as I just displayed now, is to show that we don't really have free and fair elections, and there is clear evidence that there is an agenda by the elites, and I would put the Stellenbosch Mafia with them in, how can I say now, I will include them in that syndicate to control society so that they can benefit and exploit our natural wealth in this country and prevent the majority of the people to have access to that. And the next video I'm going to play is none other than the Dragon Master herself, Auntie Helen ZILLE. And she is admitting here in this video that there's no such thing as a government of national unity. And what a government of national unity implies is that every single political party is supposed to be involved in 100% of them. Even if just one party is not participating, then it cannot be considered a government of national unity. For example, if there's 100 parties that contested in this election and 100 of them got enough votes to get one seat or whatever, then 100 political parties is supposed to form this government of national unity. And Auntie ZILLE here is explaining that herself, and she's also making it clear that this is not a government of national unity, but rather this is a coalition between the ANC and the DA, and the Honorable MAPAILA Ramaphosa has used this government of national unity idea to be able to make his party and voters more receptive to this coalition with the DA. But let me not put words in Helen Zille's mouth. Let's see, explain it to you herself. And this is where I want to speak to the colored people who vote for DA. Die aunties wat to sê hou by die blou. My auntie, dan net vir 'n oomblik, hoekom is dit so moeilik vir jou kind om plek in die skool te kry? Hoekom is dit so moeilik vir jou om 'n huis te kry? Hoekom is dit so moeilik en duur om krag en water te kan bekostig? Hoekom het ons al die struggles en yet die krag nou af. Oh, she's gonna burp. Sorry about that again, guys. The power tripped. Yeah, die aunties, my neighbors, the people in my community, and many of people in your communities, your neighbors as well. Even some of you watching now, voting for DA still. I want you to consider how the CIA. I'm not gonna have any footage or whatever now, but I just want to explain what, based on my research and what I've done over the years and what I've discovered regarding the CIA. They discovered that perception and attention is very powerful. If you are able to control a person's perception and control where they focus their attention, you can essentially control that person. And through these media outlets, it started with radio, newspaper, now it's mainstream media and your social networks. They are able to control us via these outlets, and this fundamentally is the reason why we are so dysfunctional in the household, as a family, even in the community, why we are struggling to organize. It's because we have been conditioned. Our perception and our attention has been controlled. We have not been in control of our perception and attention as we might think we have, and some of us are still in denial that they can be controlled so easily. And there's many references in the Bible that speaks to this as well. And religion in itself is one of the mechanisms used. So in this video, I also want you to be able to practice emotional intelligence, be able to put up barriers in the sense that whatever I might say or do, it doesn't have a effect on you that you don't have control over. So that means to say, I don't necessarily want to have you believe whatever I say. What I do, however, want to achieve is for you to be able to develop your own critical thinking skills. You need to be able to question what I say, question every other thing that you hear, because it comes back to this control thing, especially now with the internet and social media. You and I might be subscribed to the same channels, feeds, or whatever, but we still don't see the same thing. You understand? We might be connected to the same social network, but we will never see the same thing. So they are so sophisticated that they can, on a mass scale, control us individually by the information we consume. So we need to be very careful how we discern, not discern, process the information that we consume, and be able to discern what is good for you and what is not, because not all of the information on the internet nowadays is good for you. For example, I saw a video whereby the Israeli government has a sort of like a branch like the CIA, but their own branch that specifically focuses on propaganda, you know, especially your Wikipedia. Because if you go and you Google anything about Israel on Wikipedia, you will very rarely see any negative publicity there, because all the stuff, and they say, they mention it in this particular video, that everything bad about Israel, they either change the name of a country, the name of a nationality, or the name of a culture, or something, so that it is not associated with Zionism and Israel. And Judaism and Zionism are two totally different things. So when we talk about Zionism, we don't want all of Jewish people to be offended, you understand, because not all of them subscribe to Zionism. And that is what the mechanism of control is, whereby we are so dysfunctional as a society. But let's listen to Auntie ZILLE, and how let her explain what this so-called government of national unity is. Yeah, and I was interrupted. I wanted to complete the sentence. A government of national unity has to incorporate all the parties. Not even one party has to be left out for it to be defined as a government of national unity. So out of 100 parties, if one party decide, but no, he cannot join this agreement, then it will be a coalition amongst 99 parties and one opposition party. So essentially that is what we are having now. It's a coalition between ANC and DA with the support of the other small parties, including the PA, who is so happy to be in this GNU. And this is where I feel Mr. McKenzie is not truthful and honest to our colored people, because number one, religion and politics are both mechanisms of control, and once you incorporate one into the other, like for example what the PA did, they used religion to garner their support base. And many of our people are very spiritual, and unfortunately they are not awake, so they are not able to discern the difference between spirituality and religion. So therefore, because he came and spoke certain words that they wanted to hear, and it was easy for him to manipulate them, you see. And this is where I know I'm gonna be some people are gonna come after me, especially the colored PA supporters. But unfortunately, your leader is gonna sell you out sooner or later, because he is not being honest with you. He knows that this is not a government of national unity. He knows that giving the Khoi and San people only statues is not gonna fundamentally restore what has been done to them. Because if they can't get the land back, then whatever he does is useless. Yes, he can do great things for us now in sports, in arts and culture, and allow us to watch the Springboks and Bafana on DSTV for free, whatever he's trying to do there. Do we really need DSTV to to have a dignified and sustained life? We need shelter, we need a good, a nutritious food, and we need clean drinking water. Those three are fundamental to our existence as human beings. And if we don't have those three elements, because many of our people don't have shelter, then we are not living a dignified existence. And unless Mr. McKenzie is going to advocate for the land, I am not going to believe whatever he says and be impressed about the stuff he's doing in the sports, arts and culture, because I don't require sports, arts and culture to sustain life. I need the land to sustain life. And yeah, let's not digress. Let's listen to Auntie Zilla here.
So, from the beginning, Cyril Ramaphosa came up with this notion of a government of national unity, which he thought would be a better way of selling the concept of coalition to his own party. Now, this, of course, is not a government of national unity, because a government of national unity brings all parties together, which would have had to include the EFF and the MK party, which it did not. But it still gave the president the fig leaf he needed to bring in all sorts of smaller parties to say, I'm not in a coalition with the DA. Now, the truth is that we are actually in a coalition, because a coalition means that if a party withdraws from the coalition, the government falls. Now, none of the other parties, none of the other 9 parties in the coalition
So, as you heard, how Auntie Zilla has now explained to you guys that there is no such thing as a government of national unity. This is a coalition between the ANC and the DA, and the other parties that are involved there are only there to help make us believe that this is a government of national unity. You understand? So anybody who has this hope that the government of national unity is going to fundamentally change our circumstances and bring the necessary changes, unfortunately we are in for much worse. But luckily we have a progressive caucus to counter whatever this coalition is going to try and do. But we have a fundamental responsibility as citizens to make sure that in the 2026 local government elections that we strip the ANC and the DA from the municipalities in our regions, in our local government, because once they are out there, then we will be able to bring the affect the necessary change that is required. Because if Mr. Ramaphosa really wanted to change the circumstances of, let's say for instance, only the black people, why couldn't he just go into a coalition with the MK and the EFF if he was so concerned about the well-being of black people? Why did they have to choose the DA? It's because he doesn't have the interest or the concerns of the black people at heart. But here is the ultimate one from the horse's mouth, so that we can understand why are we so dysfunctional as a family, why are we so dysfunctional as a community, why are we so dysfunctional as a society, why are we so dysfunctional as a country, why are we so dysfunctional as a continent, the continent of Africa, right? And here is where we need to understand that these fighting that we are having within our families, disagreements and all that, differences of opinion, perceptions, the way we understand is fundamentally because we have been controlled to perceive this existence in a particular way through our schooling, through religion, and other means. That's why you as a brother and sister can't see eye to eye. You're coming from the same womb, coming from the same testicles. Why is it that you can't see eye to eye? It's because it's all in their design, their plan. And then they want to blame us. Why are we so dysfunctional as a society? So the idea is, by sharing this with you, is the hope that you will have more patience with each other and be more open with each other, lend an ear, a shoulder, and be able to work on your relationship as a family, as a community, as a society, as a country, and ultimately on the continent. And finally, after that, once we are coherent as a continent, then work globally, because they are already on a global level. That's why all of us feel it locally. But let's play this video so you can understand what I'm referring to.
Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. Okay? And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight. Okay, so this is what it's fundamentally about. We are part of the producers of ideology. At universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay, and to show them it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know, so this is what we do in academic institutions.
All your fault.
And I want to show that as well. Just to have a look at one very important additional statistic. With all this export coming from sub-Saharan Africa, how much does sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 0.5%, 1975, 0.95%, going down to 0.1. To 0.1. Meaning that with all these vast resources being produced, how much are they getting for it? Nothing. Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. What we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in sub-Saharan Africa. How much of it is accounted for by manufacturing? So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay? Raw material extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufacturers.
Before I continue the video, I want you to take note on the words he used. Words like deliberate. You know? Because we have black people, we have colored people who want to tell us that, yeah, I made it, if I can make it, you don't have an excuse. Allowing 1 or 2 or 3 of us to make it out of 1 million, out of 1 billion, is part of the plan. It's just to show the rest of us, but no, you can do it too. While they are deliberately setting us up for failure, sabotaging us. And like for instance, just as soon as we start to develop, they come, and this is fundamentally why I think the Democratic Alliance does more evictions than they provide housing. It is so that we don't have that opportunity to develop. And I mean, why are these people so greedy when they will never in their lifetime be able to spend all the wealth they are accumulating? When in the scripture it says that God made abundance of everything. And in one of my TikTok videos, I explained that the word economy means the study of lack. So in order for this economy to work, they have to create scarcity. You know, supply and demand, that whole concept. There's not scarcity of anything. They have to create it. They must create chaos so that the supply chain is disrupted there, so certain stuff cannot make it to the next country. And now there's a shortage. there's scarcity, and now the prices go up, and you know the economic system, right? And I also shared my thoughts there that we are not supposed to use an economic system. I don't know what it is we are supposed to use, but whatever system we are going to use, um, it's not new. I believe it's already there because uh, um, we are we are governed in this universe, in this existence, by laws that no one can change. Like for example, the law of gravity, and our financial system, whatever trading system we will use, will be have to be based on that and not rules. Because they say now, for example, one of the rules back in the day, interest was illegal, and all of a sudden interest became legal, so that they can create a debt system. And he's going to explain here why debt is so fundamental to this economic structure, because it's a tool they use as a method of control. And so whenever we trade, and the bartering system was one of the ways closest to what we need, because nobody can exert control, because you only have so much physical resources to trade, whereas money can be printed in unlimited amounts, and therefore money is something we are not supposed to be using to trade in our existence. But let's continue and listen to the horse as he shits out of his mouth.
Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. So, relative to the rest of the world, sub-Saharan Africa is going to suffer. Again, why? Because it's condemned to this raw material production. This is basically why.
And listen to that statement. We will have to suffer for their prosperity. We are condemned to this. And some of us will still accept that this is our faith, because religion, again, is what makes us to accept and our enemies, and pray for our enemies and let them do unto us as they will, and we just turn the other cheek because we've been conditioned through religion for that.
How is it condemned to that? Well, the first and most important is the economic structures.
The economic structures. And growing up, I always wondered, we have so many people graduating as economists, people graduating as lawyers, but our economy never seems to improve. Our justice, our legal system never seems to improve. What are these people studying for? Only to come realize, but as he's admitting here, is to keep the structures in place so that they can keep us condemned to the position that we are in, having to suffer for their prosperity. And our qualified economists and lawyers will feel like, but no, I'm a qualified person, I'm an educated person, not knowing he's also still being controlled, being utilized as a chess piece, because now your industry is regulated by certain rules and you must now uphold the rules. And again, I want to come back to scripture, to a scripture where Jesus said that you will sorry, what is it now? Brain? Yeah. Sorry about that. The statement Jesus made was to say that the real worshippers will worship Him in spirit and in truth. In truth meaning, truth is unchangeable. No matter what I say, what my opinions are, no matter what you say, your perceptions are, no one can change what the truth is of existence, of reality. Whatever we may try, we will never be able to change the truth. The truth is unchangeable. Therefore, I equate the truth with law. Law is unchangeable. Gravity, none of us can change gravity. Thus, the true worshippers will worship Him in truth. We will worship Him in truth, meaning that we will live this life according to laws He already created to govern us, and not these extra additional rules that changes whenever they feel like it needs to change. Those are not laws. This legal system don't have, it's called laws, again, to misguide us. The definition of a law is that it's something that cannot be changed. It's fixed. It's how it is. And those who worship, the true worshippers, will worship God in truth. We will worship Him according to the laws He created. Because now they've created churches who even make their own rules. How is it that so many churches praying to the same God have different rules, different ways you're gonna supposedly be saved, get your salvation or go to heaven, whatever the promise is? But I digress again. Let's continue.
Basically, why? How is it condemned to that? Well, the first and most important is the economic structures. After colonization ended, we needed new structures to keep these countries where they were. Okay? And the first of those is aid. Okay? We give them aid. Aid for what? Actually, we give them aid to keep repressive regimes in power. That's all. Okay? We're not giving them aid for much more except a little bit of infrastructure to make sure those raw materials get to the ports and are gotten out of the ground. But for the most part, we give repressive regimes money and power and guns to keep that system going. This is what it's fundamentally about. All the hypocrisy about transparency and democracy and bullshit like that, it's all bullshit. You know? And at least the Chinese don't enter into that bullshit. They say, we don't care about the whole political environment, we just give the money. Okay?
Democracy is bullshit.
And it's for raw material extraction, period. Number two, and this was a very important one, still is debt. I was telling some of my students today, is it today or yesterday, about Confessions of an Economic Hitman. You remember this? Have any of you heard of this one? Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It's a book written by John Perkins, who used to work for a very nebulous opaque bank. No one had ever heard of this bank, but it was formed in the 1950s by the IMF, the CIA, and the American State Department. And it had only one job: to lend money to developing countries that were raw material producers in order to indebt them. Once you are in my debt, I control you. Okay? And this bank had 4,000 employees. But no one ever heard of this bank, you see. But it would go to country after country offering loans. And if the president did not accept the loan, they were killed. And he gives two examples of presidents who were killed when they did not accept the loan. You see, the lending is also very important to trap the country. It's very important. It's part of that process. Because once I catch you with the debt strings, I hold you forever. You're my prisoner. Okay, so debt has been this huge spider's web which has trapped sub-Saharan Africa and keeps them held there. Aid, debt.
Yeah, so I don't want to elaborate any further because this video just make me depressed whenever I'm done watching it, you know. And what makes me to feel depressed is that I know what's wrong, why we are in the situation that we are, but as an individual, it's very difficult to affect change. Hence, the only way I can have any meaningful impact is to do stuff like this to help bring awareness, because so many of our people are still asleep, thinking that they have the bull by its horns. They comprehend what's going on in our existence in this reality, when in fact they have been misguided. And I'm gonna say it again, our religious people specifically is a great example to display that, because if indeed we understand or understood why Jesus came to earth, my question to all of you religious people is, if we have the answer why Jesus is here and who and what Jesus is, what his purpose was, why is earth degrading? Why is it getting worse rather than getting better? I would say it's even worse before Jesus was came to earth, right? And they have been sold this concept: if you pray, and it's also, again, it's written in the Bible, you can pray for your prayer warrior team, worship group, whatever you call yourselves at church. You can pray for 6 hours. You can have 6-hour prayer sessions. Pray for till kingdom come. Until you take physical action, nothing is going to change in this reality. In order to build a house, you must pick up the brick from point A to point B. You can talk about building a house unless you take the brick and put it where it belongs. Take the cement, put it where it belongs. Physically move stuff around, doing the actions. Nothing is going to change. So all of that 17 hours prayer sessions, it's useless. And our people have been trapped in this cycle. We go to church 7 days a week, pray for 6 hours a day, but once we're done praying, we do absolute fuck all to affect change in this reality. And we, for some reason, we can't see the problem with that. And I believe the church is just the building. The church is not the church the Bible is referring to. The building, the church, is where they go to trap us, to make us inactive so that we don't take physical action in this reality. But again, like I said, do not believe what I say, and I hope none of you are offended by my opinions. It's just that it has become clear to me how it is they are doing, how they are achieving what they are doing, what methods they are using, and I'm alerted to that now. Hence, I do not regard any legitimacy in any religion. I do, however, say that I do believe in spirituality, because each and every one of us can feel the connection we have with God. And again, Jesus again says that we must build a relationship with the Father. But we have been told to make Jesus the middleman between the Father and Him. We cannot get to the Father without Him. And again, here is where the interpretation is very important, because if we really want to understand what He means to say that no one can get to the Father without me, is to say that not Him as the person, Him as in the way He lived His life. We need to model the way we live according to the way He lived. All the actions He took is the actions that we are supposed to take, you know. And whenever His disciples or the people wanted to worship Him or give Him credit for the miracles He did, He would always shy away, hide away, and give the Father the glory. And for some reason, we are not able to observe that. Hence, our people are so easily misled. And there's a verse that speaks to that as well, where Jesus says, many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and mislead the masses. And I said this before, and I want to say it again. Let's look at the situation in today's life. Do we see any people running around claiming to be Jesus and misleading people, saying that they are the Christ? Again, interpretation is very important when we read the Bible. And what I get from that when I read that verse is to say that when He warned His disciples, be aware, many will come in my name, come using my name, saying that I am the Christ, misleading the masses. And what do we see today? Many people run around saying that Jesus is the Christ and He is our Savior and all that, and they are misleading the people. Hence, we're seeing a state of digression where it's just deteriorating the situation we experience in our reality today. But we have so many churches, so many denominations, so many religions. Why are we not having a better experience? And my personal belief is that we are supposed to create heaven on earth as it is in heaven. And it's right there. Why in the Our Father, the most important prayer, why is Jesus not featuring there if He is the one that we are supposed to worship? It's just a question that for some reason nobody is able to answer. But then again, if any one of you can explain that to me, for me to understand Why does Jesus not feature in the Our Father prayer? Why is it that Jesus only refer to the Father as the one in only God? Why is he hiding away from being worshipped, from taking credit for all the works that he's done? He also says, what credit is it to you when you have done good, when you are building your credit with the Father in heaven? So, yeah, this was a very long video, a very controversial one, and hopefully the aim, the mission, and the purpose will be achieved, which is to awaken our people from what is going on in this world. Why is it that our DA and ANC government, who has been ruling us for 30 years, are not fixing our circumstances? Because they have an agenda. Their mandate is to keep us where we are, so that the affluent first world countries can prosper, and for them to prosper we must suffer. And also I want to say that I saw this morning a video on TikTok about the young policeman who took his own life, and this is why it's so important for us to know the truth, because we feel depressed, we have these mental challenges, and we for some reason don't know why that is, but it becomes so unbearable because we don't get the proper support. We think that the easy way out by taking our own life is the best solution, and that is also one of the things I hope to achieve, is to those who are thinking of taking their own lives because life is so difficult and hard. Just remember that the Holy Spirit is within you. The Bible says that the Word became flesh. The Bible does not say that the Word became Jesus, or that Jesus is flesh. It says that the Word became flesh. So all of us who are flesh, we are an expression of God in the flesh. We are all equal to Jesus, and we are not supposed to follow behind Jesus. We are supposed to follow next to him, because Jesus said, if you want to follow me, you must carry your own cross. We are not supposed to help him carry his cross. He managed very well on his own. We are supposed to manage with our own cross. Yeah, but let me not take this drag this any longer. Once again, apologies for all the poor quality in this production, the background noises, the disturbances, poor audio, the editing that is poor also. Like I said, I'm not at home, not using the proper equipment, and your feedback is very, very vital and important to the well-being of our production, because with your feedback we can only improve. But like I said, where I'm currently at, I'm limited in what I can do, so I will ensure to get maybe a laptop or something to move around with, that has the capability to help do the work I do on my computer at home, because I have a desktop computer where I do most of my work from, and it's very difficult to travel with that. And once our channel grows and we are able now to get proper equipment, we promise to never give you such quality production work again. But thank you for the support. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please, if you have disagreements, if you have agreements, whatever your opinion is, let us engage in the comment section about everything we've absorbed, we've been exposed to. Let's better understand how we can work towards regaining control, because we don't necessarily need to gain control as a collective. If each of us individually can regain self-control and not be misled by perception and your attention and focus being guided externally, if we can gain self-control each individually, they will not be able to exert their power over us as they currently do. They will not be able to fulfill their agendas. Eventually, we can take back our authority as God has granted us to have dominion over this earth, each and every one of us. But thank you for watching, and we'll get you in the next one. Peace.